All right, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of books that I would consider picking up if I had a budget of around $200. And the very first book that I would consider snagging is this one that you see on screen, specifically the new Teen Titans annual issue number 2. This is a cool book, one that I went hunting for myself in the 100K collection at some point last year, the year before. I can't remember exactly when, but a very, very cool book that was published by DC Comics back in 1982. This book is the first appearance of Adrian Chase as Vigilante. And if you have seen the Peacemaker series, you know how good this is, but also how the Vigilante was the breakout star of that series. We are hearing rumors that James Gunn is going to use Adrian Chase Vigilante prior to him appearing in Peacemaker season 2. Where, we don't know, but James Gunn loves quirky characters, and Adrian Chase is very much that. This book is also it's the first appearance of a couple of other characters. Can't remember the names of those characters, but if you are really curious, I am confident that you can figure it out. This book is one that I would consider picking up at a 9.8. At present, there are 1,337 universal blue label copies on the census, a total overall of around 1,565. That includes signature series and one qualified. But again, I would look at the blue label 9.8. There are 403 copies of this book on the census. There's been 221 sales as of late. The book has an FMV of $200, but it's actually selling for below its FMV right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And you can see graphically on the left-hand side of this slide, most recent sale for this book was around $195. Again, below the $200 thresholds. It is at the upper end of where this book has been for the last year. Its 1-year average is 187, its 90-day average 197, and its 30-day is sitting at 195. And again, you can get this book. There's not a ton of copies out there, but I don't think that you're going to be challenged with finding this book. I'm looking at some of the sales data here, and a lot of the individual sales as of late have been coming directly from eBay, either as a best offer or as a fixed price. There was a sale back in May on Heritage for $139 for a universal blue label 9.8 with white pages. Again, this is a cool book to pick up. I wasn't a huge fan of the Peacemaker show when it first dropped, but I stuck with it. I'm glad that I did. It is incredibly quirky. And as I mentioned, James Gunn is a fan of quirky. He is now head of DC Studios. And so you never know what's actually going to happen. So this is the very first book that I wanted to hip you guys to consider snagging if you have a budget of around $200. The next book that we're going to look at is also a DC book. This is also another fantastic book. This one from a legendary creator, George Perez. George Perez did this amazing cover, which is a wraparound cover. Just a really awesome book. Wonder Woman issue number 1. This is the origin of Wonder Woman. Just a fantastic book. There's also a couple of first appearances in this. Can't remember what those first appearances are. Again, if you're really curious, you can look it up. I think there's also some additional origin stories that are being told in this issue. The rumor with this one is that there is the possibility that Wonder Woman 3 is going to be a go. We don't know whether it's going to feature Gail or not. There's a lot of confusion as to whether she is going to be involved, not involved, all of that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, this is a cool comic from a legendary creator. It is also affordable, which is why I have it in this video. Again, this one was published. The publication date for this book was 1987. With this one, there are 2,600 copies that are blue label, an overall total of 3,164 if you include signature series and 3 qualified labels. And again, with this one, I would look at the 9.8. There are 990 copies of this out there on the CGC census. There's been 545 sales. FMV for this book is sitting at $170. And the most recent sale for this book is a lot lower than that. Most recent sale, $146. You can see here the data may have not been updated, but I think this is average. Yeah, this is average. So the average 30-day average for this book, 176. Most recent sale, 146. The sale before that, 207. The one before that was a best offer. Not quite sure what that was on the eBay machine. The 1-year average for this book is 174. The 90-day, 157. And again, the 30-day average, 176. Awesome book. Affordable, 9.8. With both this book and the last book, I would stick with the 9.8. You could spend less money by going with a lower grade, but in my opinion, at those prices with these books, the 9.8 is the sweet spot in my mind, but it's your money, your budget. You spend it the way that you need to. So speaking of budget, I could not stick with the budget for this next book. The goal was to be $200 or less. I could not stick with it with this one. Star Wars issue number 43. And this is part 5 to the Empire Strikes Back movie adaptation. It is the first comic book appearance in the U.S. of Lando. It is the second comic book appearance in the U.S. for Boba Fett. The rumor with this one is that Donald Glover and his brother are working on the script for a Lando TV series for Disney Plus. And this is just a cool book. I absolutely love this pink cover. It is a color that you do not see that often, and that's part of the reason why it really just sticks out in my mind. But you also have a cover appearance, a Lando here as well, to go along with that wonderful pink hue in the background. This book was published back in 1981, and again, with this book, I personally would go with the 9.8. You can see here on the right hand side, there are the average for this book 30-day is $314. The 90-day, $269, which would have been a great time to get it. The 1-year average for this book is $304. There are 1,700 universal blue label copies on the CGC census. Overall total of 1,809. That includes 83 signature series, 1 restored, and 1 qualified label. Again, the most recent sale for this book was $295. $295. At least it was in the twos. Let's back up. The price, or the asking price for this book back in February of 21 was $979. There is a good chance we won't see that price again anytime soon. Maybe for this next decade or so. In July of 2022, the average price was $569, and like I said, right now we are sitting at about $314 for this book. Again, if you have a couple of extra bucks, it is not a bad way to go for the 9.8. Let's look at the 9.6. Where did that net out? 9.6 is well below the $200. Average for the 9.6 is $130. The 1-year average is $107. Again, with some of these books, you have a big fall off as you go from the 9.8 to the 9.6. And sometimes it just, in my mind, spending a couple of extra bucks to get the 9.8 is just a better way to go. So again, 3 really awesome books, 2 that are at the $200 or below, and just 1 that crept outside of that. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this installment of I'd Buy That Book. Certainly if there's books that you want me to consider or price ranges that you want me to look at, sound off in the comment section, because potentially I will take your advice and look at that in a future video. If you want to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care. Before I let you go, I want to tell you all about a new project that I am working on. It is called Marcus, and Marcus is going to be the second title that I'll be releasing from my publishing company, Swoldier Publishing. If you are feeling frisky and if you're interested in supporting this project, head over to swoldierpublishing.com for more information and also to support the project.
This thing on? Mic check. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me clearly. Yeah. Should you practice art? Or should art be your practice? I had a question, so I asked it. Not to anyone specifically, but to my inner God, you know? The one that's gonna be a master. The one that's more than a rapper. The one that's an educator. The one that seeks enlightenment. He travels with concepts. He's got the mindset expansive. He understands that his time combined with travel and concepts makes his mind convex. Sort of like when you look at a brain scan. Straight off meditation, we was concaving until we had that eternal dialogue that created our dialect. Now we in distinct rooms of pure souls having them conversations. Synergy and combinations. You fly and we waiting. Indian style in the gold.